Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of Transfer Talk with me, your host Matt Froelich. Today we've got some pretty exciting stuff going on. We have Statman Dave with us. The first place we're going to start is with someone who really would blow the doors off. And with Gareth Bale, I mean, is there any way you could even afford him, never mind tempted back to United? I mean, to United even.
I think the big thing with Gareth Bale, obviously after the Champions League final, coming out and saying he wants more game time. Real Madrid lost Zinedine Zidane and Lopetegui came in. But the big thing here is Gareth Bale going to suit that style of play? The Spanish, former under-21 manager, now the Spanish national team manager, likes to keep the ball on the deck. And for me, Gareth Bale doesn't quite fit into that style and how they're going to go. So United could potentially get him at a reduced rate, but we're still talking, £90 million, which is still a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's, I'd love to see him back at Tottenham, I guess, for one part. But I mean, for me, it wasn't so much the pricing, it was more the wages. United are the only, even when you talk about Man City, the only team who would really pay, it's got to be in excess of about $350,000 a week. I mean, that's breaking the bank for everybody else, apart from the likes of United.
I think it is, yeah, but you're looking at someone like Zlatan Ibrahimovic that left the club. That's a big sort of wage budget that United now have to spend. Of course, we're going to talk about David De Gea a little bit later on. He needs to take a few of those wages. But United, again, the most wealthy club in world football. So they have the money and the spending power to bring someone like Gareth Bale to Manchester United. Yeah. And I think he'd really add an extra spark in the final third.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's something that I'm not necessarily saying it's been missing from the likes of Martial, from Lingard, from Rashford consistently. But it seems that Bale really is the complete package. He's years older than these guys. He's been there, he's done it all. The Champions Leagues and the titles speak for themselves. I really feel that he would be the complete player to play at United. But I mean, on the flip side of that, would he push some of the youngsters out?
I think you've got to look at that as well. You've got to analyse how the United squad looks. You're looking at the likes of Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial, two players that you mentioned there. But they are very young players. I think that's something that we forget as football fans, that they've still got a long time to go. Gareth Bale, what is he, 28 now? He's coming into his prime. And the word that you mentioned before, consistency is what Gareth Bale brings if he's starting. In all competitions this season, he scored 21 goals, grabbed 7 assists. He's been directly involved in a goal every 84 minutes, which is absolutely crazy. That's more than, won a game. But also you break down the Champions League final on the back end of the season, you think of the games against Celta Vigo. Gareth Bale was so good in that game. Then the Champions League final as well, coming off the bench, that bicycle kick, then the goal from 40 yards. Yeah, of course, Karius made a slight mistake, but Gareth Bale comes in onto that stronger left foot and smashes it. So for me, Gareth Bale would be the complete package, and unfortunately the younger players at United may have a little less game time if Bale were to be signed.
Yeah, I mean, from a fan's point of view, as a huge England fan, I want to see the likes of Rashford and Lingard, kind of come through and get their minutes. However, we all know it's a results business now, and having a match winner like Bale, someone who can turn it on in a game which is quite stale, which is, something that Mourinho was accused of this season. I mean, Anfield, was a massive sort of park the bus scenario where he almost looked to play for the 0-0. Having a match winner like that is so huge that you can understand why it would be worth the money to bring him in.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing there, that United set up in some of these bigger games in quite a defensive manner. Towards the back end of the season, though, they were quite aggressive in certain games. You think the FA Cup semi against Tottenham, you think the games against Chelsea in the Premier League at home, and the Manchester City game where they turned up in that second half. But if you've got a team that can defend really well, and then you've got Gareth Bale to play on the counter-attack, we've seen what he's done for Wales, in the Euros last time, and through qualifying for the World Cup, of course, they missed out. But Gareth Bale can be that guy that, look, you could sit back in a 4-4-1-1 in a bit of a deep block. Lukaku and Bale can just stay up the pitch. Yeah. You go along to them. You've got a lot more, output there. Of course, Rashford, he made 52 appearances this season. He's played a lot of football, but I think the minutes maybe is something that Mourinho could work on, getting him some more 90 minutes in and out. But I think with Bale, what you're going to get instead of like the Rashfords or the Martials is that completeness right now, where you'll get him the ball, he'll use his pace, his power to really sort of cause people problems on the counter-attack.
But then what do you think it means for the likes of Sanchez? I mean, who's just been brought in. I mean, what's your opinion on him, for example? Because it seems like he's a complete mercenary who's just gone for the money. But if someone like him is going to be pushed out so quickly, I mean, it's not really something that United are known for, is a quick turnover.
I think the big thing with Sanchez is he hasn't hit his form yet. You've got to admit that as a United fan and as looking at the club from the analytical perspective. In 18 games, he's got 3 goals and 5 assists. So it's not been good enough yet for Sanchez. He needs to hit the ground running. I think there's a few things he needs to change. But if Bale were to come in, he isn't going to take Sanchez's position. It's going to be Sanchez, Bale, Lukaku who's going to be the front three. Gareth Bale's probably played some of his best football on that right-hand side. Sanchez more from the left. But I think the big thing there is the fluidity, that they can switch, that Gareth Bale can go on the left wing, Sanchez can go on the right. I think that's a big thing United need to work on is the interchange of positions. I think one of the greatest Chelsea teams you've ever seen with Damien Duff and Ian Robin, they consistently switch flanks. I think that's a big thing for United to improve their movement going forward.
See, I'd slightly be on the other side. I disagree. I think he'd take over Sanchez's spot and it'd be better to give Martial or Rashford. But I guess that's me, part England fan, part kind of wanting to blood the youngster coming through. So I mean, so to wrap this up with Bale, is it in or out? What do you reckon?
I'd definitely bring Gareth Bale to Manchester United. The only concern's obviously the injuries. We want to talk about that. He's had a little bit of problem over the last few seasons. I think he's played less than 2,500 minutes in all competitions, which is an issue. But you think about players like Ryan Giggs that went through similar problems around 28, 29, where they obviously very, very quick. The pace sort of slows down. They start to get hamstring injuries, ankle injuries, and so forth. So I think if Gareth Bale maybe were to adopt yoga, were to adopt some of Giggs' methodology of how he got through that injuries, he'll be fine. He's still 28. You look what Ronaldo's doing now at like 33, 34. Bale technically has 5 years left at the top. So if United can get those 5 years... Exactly, and I think that's a big thing for United. If they can sign someone like Bale, it would be incredible. But if they don't, it doesn't matter because the likes of Martial and Rashford are coming through. Yeah,
no, absolutely. So, so moving on, I mean, someone coming from Madrid to United will kind of switch the other way around, someone from United to potentially Real Madrid in David De Gea. What are your thoughts there?
I think it's an interesting one. Of course, Real Madrid are always looking to improve themselves after winning the Champions League 3 times. One of the positions, obviously, Keylor Navas is a good goalkeeper. Like, we can't look past that. He's a good goalkeeper. He just won 3 Champions Leagues in a row. Outstanding against Bayern Munich in the Champions League semi, I think it was this season. But De Gea's the best keeper in the world for me. Not only can he make the brilliant saves, not only can he keep United in games playing behind the likes of Jones and Smalling that are used to making a bit of a problem, but he's brilliant on the ball. And I think that's the difference between De Gea and Keylor Navas is that De Gea can start attacks. Or he can, get a counter-attack start. And I think that's the upgrade you're going to get as Real Madrid.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's been a bit hard done by Keylor Navas, the fact that he's maybe not a big name, but when it comes to De Gea, he really, as well as having age on his side, he really is the complete package. When it comes to everything kind of that Real Madrid would be looking for. I mean, would you consider a swap deal?
Absolutely not. No, David De Gea is staying. The fax machine is going to be broken again. But I think the big thing with De Gea this season in the Premier League is the stats are absolutely incredible. He's made the 5th most saves in the Premier League playing for Manchester United. But you partner that he's got the best save percentage, so he's saving the most shots on target. He's also got the most clean sheets. The guy has had a fantastic year, probably the best year of his career. So if, Real Madrid to come in, it's going to be around, you're thinking 150 million to 200 million to sign someone like that. The big thing with United, though, they need to give him a new deal, give him some more cash, make him one of the top paid players because he's been performing at that level. I think that's the big thing for United is getting to sign a new contract.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been there. It's almost 5 years now, maybe 6. I mean, he's definitely one of the most long-standing players at United, and personally, I think he probably does deserve a bit more. However, on the other side, when you keep on taking the wages up, it's almost the knock-on effect of every new signing is going to be wanting more and more and more. So how can they justify that against someone that's going to come in, even like Bale or even someone less who's going to say, you know what, I want to be a top earner as well.
Because you've got one of the best players in their position in the world. I think that's the big thing that, as a football club, as Manchester United is, it's not really a selling club. They're not really like a top or a Southampton to Liverpool type thing. They want to compete at that top level. So to keep your best players, unfortunately, in the market that's been created, the economics of football, United have to be in a situation where they have to potentially spend the cash on David De Gea, and it's well worth it. There's some crazy stats, like, for example, this season in the Premier League, Eric Bailly and Phil Jones have scored more goals against David De Gea in the Premier League than Liverpool, City and Tottenham's forwards have managed combined. And that's a big thing there. You think in the big games. Arsenal, this season, he made 14 saves. He broke records against Arsenal. 14 saves. It was an incredible double save. I think it was on Ramsey, then Sanchez.
Yeah,
and this is what
I remember.
Unbelievable goalkeeping. And I think that's the big thing that, look, if you've got a guy that's talented in any position, you break the bank to keep him.
You break the bank. So I'm going to ask in or out, but I guess by that passionate performance, it's 100% in.
Yeah, David De Gea will be hopefully staying at Manchester United for the next 10 years. What a goalkeeper he is.
Yeah, wow, fantastic. I mean, you very, very quickly mentioned there the guys in front of him, the likes of Jones by Smalling. The rumour in the last few days, certainly. What about Toby Alderweireld from Spurs? What do you make of him? Because he had an injury-hit season, and when he came back in, he didn't quite get back into the team ahead of the likes of Vertonghen and new boy Davinson Sanchez. If United were to sign him, and you know it's going to be around 50 million's the quote and another big wage, does he even get in ahead of the guys that we've just mentioned? It's considering that most of them are quite young, especially like Lindelof as well.
That's the big thing. I think United centre-halves have really lacked consistency. And again, consistency is the big word around Manchester United. You're thinking Eric Bailly is brilliant on his day, but injuries again have cut his campaign in half. And then you're looking at Phil Jones, Chris Smalling, that some days they look like world beaters, other days they don't look like they can run. And I think this is the big thing with Manchester United, it's adding that consistency. I really would like to see a lot more of Lindelof. The big thing with Lindelof, he's wonderful on the ball, really good ball player, but it seems to be a bit suspect when you either put a big target man on him or he plays off as a big winger that looks to get in the box and they cross to him. Lindelof struggles in those situations. What Alderweireld would bring, of course, that quality, that Premier League experience, Southampton, Tottenham, a cultured player, good on the ball, aggressive in the air, that'll give a lot of qualities. But I think the big thing that you mentioned before, 50 to 55 million for a 29-year-old centre-half, when next season we could sign him for 25 million because he's got a release clause in his contract. Yeah. No, thank you.
Well, yeah, I think that's the kind of thing these days, that the power in the contract has really switched to the players. So someone like Alderweireld can have that in his contract and then say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to leave. And 25 million for a 30-year-old, maybe 10 to 12 years ago, you wouldn't have done it. But now, I mean, it looks like a no-brainer. But as you said, it's kind of expensive for this transfer window. I mean, who else would you be able to get for that kind of money in that situation? Someone to come in and start as centre-back.
Well, I think the big one, the guy that I've really liked this season, Longley from Sevilla, really starred against Manchester United in their Champions League. Of course, United getting dumped out by Sevilla.
Yeah,
he was brilliant against Lukaku. It was a fantastic battle of physicality versus aggression. And Longley is a culture player, very, very good on the ball. In that game against Manchester United in the first leg, he completed 23 out of his 26 passes forward. So he can find a target head. But the best part about it was how physical he was on Lukaku, how well he dealt with, the near post crosses. Classic defenders defending in a way that you kind of don't see from some players. We see a lot of culture players coming into the game that are more bothered about being on the ball. Longley is very good on the ball, but boy, is he a very, very good defender. In that second leg as well, there were situations where Rashford, Lingard were running at him in wide areas. Simply just waited, bided his time, used his body, used his time and won the ball back. It was a fantastic display from a French, the French centre-half. The big thing with that, though, heavily linked to Barcelona.
Yeah.
And he's got a £30 million release clause in his contract right now. So, the maths for Man United is Longley over Alderweireld if he wants to come. Longley quoted, or his agent came out and said that he's got a lot of, people coming in for him, a lot of interest, and the decision will be made after the World Cup. But if United was to bring Longley in, I think that would be a better signing than Toby Alderweireld.
Yeah, no, I think you're kind of, it's a slight gamble, as you said, with someone being so young. However, the signs are there. If someone like Barcelona coming in for you, being linked with the big clubs all the time, he's kind of got to be something a bit special. And you've had first experience dealing with him. He's not in the World Cup squad for this summer, which is a slight, maybe that's kind of an indication of how well the French squad are doing? Or do you think maybe he's just not quite there yet?
I think that's what you just mentioned there, that the French squad has got such quality at centre-half. Thinking Rafa Varane, Samuel Umtiti, or two of the best centre-halves in world football. I'd put Rafa Varane as number 2 behind Sergio Ramos. So I think it's one of these things where Longley is just coming into his career. He's just starting to make sort of impressions on everyone at Sevilla, following his move from Nancy in Liga. He's taken that trajectory, he's taken a bit of a gamble. I think he moved to 18, which is a big step for him. So I think it's that time that, look, he's going to be, absolutely in that squad over the next, 10 to 15 years. But right now, he's just, he's getting his sort of mind together, working where he wants to go. And then, obviously, United, Barcelona, Bayern Munich have been linked. He'll move to one of those clubs and he'll become one of the guys that's going to be playing there with Laporte at City that's That's crazy. France have got such quality at centre half, and I think that's the big thing there. I don't think it's about Longley not being very good. I just think it's the quality France have.
Well, I guess you better get Pogba to have a word with him before Titi does, or he'll end
hopefully
up,
Agent Pete can get in his ear.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that's pretty much all we've got time for. So quickly on Alderweireld, is it in or an out? Or are you going to stick with Longley? I'd
probably go with Longley or Alderweireld. So Alderweireld out.
Yeah.
Maybe next summer.
Yeah. Well, but we'll speak again in 1 year and see if 25 mil's worth it then. For sure. Well, thanks for joining us anyway, Dave. It's been great to talk to you about all things Manchester United. And that's all from us here. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you for another transfer talk soon.